Hey everybody, welcome to the Ron Line Report. Today's guest, one of my favorite human beings on this earth. He is the legendary 8-time Mr. Olympia. Please welcome, all the way from Georgia, Lee Haney. What's up?
Hey Ron, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing great, Thank you so much, Lee, for coming on my channel. Always loved having you as a guest on muscular development. Muscular development is no longer, but this is a Ron Harris Muscle channel, and I'm so honored that you chose to do this.
Oh, yeah, man. I'm always ready to support you. I appreciate all that you do in the community of bodybuilding. We need great content like this. Cool. So it's an honor to be here.
All right. So I'm going to start right off with the reason I contact you is this post. I think it's up on screen now. Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So a couple weeks ago, you posted this. It was an old Twin Lab ad with your kneeling side chest. And you wrote, "Is it just me? Or does 90% of the current group of bodybuilders have the same squatty shape, wide waist, big arms, overly developed quads, small calves, and weird shoulders? It looks as though somebody closed their eyes and threw muscle at a dartboard without giving it any thought. The new Frankenstein era." And goodness gracious, that went viral, Lee. That went viral. A lot of people agreed with you. A lot of people disagreed with you. That was reposted thousands of times. I saw it over and over again on Instagram. People made videos about it. But I said, I'm not going to make a video just talking about it. I want to go to the man himself and get your feedback. So what inspired you, first of all, to make that post?
Well, Ron, and you hear me, Ron?
Yeah, you sound great.
Okay. Well, I've been watching what's been happening, on Instagram, Facebook, the quality of physiques that are out there now. And most of them look the same. When you take a guy that's 5'7", 5'8", and you put 300 pounds on him, particularly a rush 300 pounds, without thought, without proper bodybuilding engineering, you get this colossal of a physique that just doesn't look right. It's not pleasing to the eye. And I say I mean the general public. Yeah. The thing that made bodybuilding attractive, made everybody from the office guy to the attorneys to everybody wanting to look like a bodybuilder. Yeah. And that's how I fell in love with it. When I saw Arnold, I saw Larry Scott, Frank Zane, that was a thing of beauty, Robbie, beauty. And so what I've seen here lately is like, okay, where's the difference? Who's unique and having a physique that fits with symmetry, balance, muscle maturity, great separation, and a beautiful presentation. Bodybuilding of a physical art. Right. Those are the things that I think captured the world as far as wanting bodybuilding. And I don't see that now. I as I was saying, I'm looking at around and looking at the landscapes. Everybody got big arms. Everybody got these weird shoulders. Everybody have these blocky thighs and little bitty calves, and no rhyme or reason to proper training to create that ultimate physique. So it's frustrating. Mm-hmm. And I just had another young man to reach out to me about a week or so ago. Said, "Well, Mr. Haney, I know you're into your help and you coach and that sort of thing. You write programs, and I'm trying to get from 230 pounds to 300 pounds." Ooh. And that's okay. Why is 300 pounds where you want to take your physique? I mean, at 257 pounds, as I competed in Italy, that was really stretching it a bit for me. I had a 31.5-inch waist, and I wanted to keep it that way, but because of that look in Italy wasn't sharp as I wanted to be, although I wanted Mr. Olympia, but I knew myself as being better. I purposely made sure that I brought my weight down for the next year.
Let's take a look at that.
Lose that special thing.
I want to look at that with you together right now. The 1991 Mr. Olympia was your 8th and final win, Orlando. So just make sure you unmute your microphone so we can both talk about this. So,
okay.
Oh, I think we're okay. I don't think we need to mute. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I got you.
So this was it. This was what a lot of people consider your best look. I think you consider it your best look. You've said this before.
Yes. And, 1991, I use a training system, the 3-on-off-1, to get to that condition. In times past, 5 weeks before a show, I would move from a 3-on-off-1 to a straight 6, trying to develop a little bit more quality. But what I found was happening is I was end up creating somewhat overtraining. So my physique looked a bit fatigued until the last 2 days before the show. So for the last Olympia in 1991, I stayed with the 3-on-off-1, gave me more recovery time. My physique stayed full, the muscle popped, and I went in at 254 pounds. But mind you, from 1984 at 243 pounds to 1991 at 254 pounds, I had only gained 11 pounds in a span of of 8 years.
Wow.
So, so keeping the look, keeping what bodybuilding's supposed to look like, the tapering waist, muscle maturity, that thing that made Arnold, Robbie, Roy Callender, Zane, that made them beautiful and drew the eyes and the applause of the general public. That's what I was told bodybuilding was supposed to look like.
I think nobody has anyone now to tell them what they're supposed to look like. There's no guidance. There's no Joe Weider anymore. So these guys just sort of wing it and go with what's winning shows and sort of duplicate that. I want to take a look at the New York Pro winner a couple weeks back, Nick Walker. I don't think you weren't targeting anyone specifically with your posts. I'm sure you weren't, but he sort of exemplifies some of the things you were talking about as far as overdeveloped body parts or whatnot. So let's see if the microphone holds up. So unmute yourself. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, look at those arms, huge. Waistline. I don't know. I want to hear what's your take on Nick Walker, the mutant?
Well, you just said it, the mutant.
That's his name.
This is where bodybuilding has gone. And it's saying mass. It's not saying symmetry, balance, and muscle maturity. It takes time to build a masterpiece. And I'm not seeing that in this era of bodybuilding. I'm seeing more massive guys, which, if you look at Ronnie was massive. But guess what? Ronnie had a symmetry and well thought development, to his mass. Look at Ronnie's thighs and his calves. His legs was nice and chiseled. His waist tapered. Although he was huge, he still exemplified that combination of flow. So what I'm seeing in a type of physique, like say Nick Walker, for instance, his height and that amount of mass is nothing appealing. I'm just saying, but I'm glad in the world of bodybuilding, there's space for everybody. You know what I'm saying? So there's a place for Nick. There's a place for Chris Bumstead. There's a place, and I like that. So all of these young athletes have the place to showcase whoever they are. But I really feel that bodybuilding need to be careful if it wants to continue to grow and be appealing to the general population, because those are the people who fill seats, who buy tickets. If you're going to grow any organization, it has to be inclusive to the total population. I was walking through, the magazine stand just a few days ago. And I'm, in times past, I would see the magazine with beautiful physiques on it that flowed and that was attractive to people. And they're saying, man, I want to look like that. Now you go through there, you don't see that anymore. The magazine is totally gone. You see guys that are, they have no physiques whatsoever. They just look like fitness guys.
Yeah.
Because bodybuilding has really shot itself in the foot.
All right, Lee, obviously we're talking about mainstream appeal, and the Mr. Olympia is the pinnacle of the sport. The Mr. Olympia champion is the representative, the ambassador of our sport to the world. So let's take a look at the reigning Mr. Olympia, Derek Lunsford. Big kid. He's a kid. I say kid because I think he's only 30 years old, if that. So let's take a look at Derek. Unmute. Yep. Unmute your mic. Okay. So there's our champ. He's about 5'6", 235, 240 pounds.
Yeah. Derek, I like his balance was good. The one thing that I looked at, the fact that he went from the 212 division all the way up to heavyweight. I mean, that's a lot of weight to put on in 1 year. But, and again, we're talking the open class of the Mr. Olympia. So this is what the Olympia is saying. This is what we want.
Yeah.
Is it what the masses want? Is it what everybody is looking for? I don't think so. Well, I know so, because think about all of the athletes that is that has received their pro cards. I mean, it took a lot of hard work and dedication to get there. Yeah. Now you're telling them, okay, now I have to train, or I have to reach this particular level in order to compete on the Olympia stage, which that's going to be near impossible for a lot of the current athletes. So it becomes sort of like the end of the line for a lot of them, as far as their career is concerned. And I really appreciate the fact that there are other shows that they can participate in, but I really think that something needs to happen in the way of, okay, and it has in some ways when I look at classic physique. Yeah. Where it's okay, you can still sort of maintain the integrity of your physique without trying to turn into those mass monster, and sort of throw yourself out there and look like everybody else. Because a lot of athletes are really gifted to in a classical way. But then if the atmosphere is saying now, okay, you need to put on more mass and more size, and then all of a sudden that natural beauty that you possess as you begin your hopes in the era of bodybuilding is being dashed, and you're asked to turn into something that you really didn't have, that wasn't your vision initially. So that's where it sort of gets a little weird and a little strange in this particular era. So I would like to see on the classic physique end more prize money being made available, and bringing the financials more balance. I don't think you should give all, the majority of your prize money to the area of bodybuilding that the general public is saying, yuck. I don't want to look like that. I don't want to see it. I don't want that. I don't want my son or my son to be a part of that anymore. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Whereby when you look at Chris, you see a mom and dad say, hey, this guy looks good. But at the same time, I like to see Chris make just as much money as Derek. What are we saying here?
Well, yeah, the prize money still has a huge gap between classic and open. It's sort of closing, but not. It's. I don't think it's ever going to be equal. But the one thing to look at as far as mass appeal and what people aspire or want to look like, one way to look at that is his Instagram numbers. He has almost 24 million followers Chris Bum said on Instagram, far surpassing Derek or Hadi or any of these guys that are competing in the Open Mr. Olympia. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that's, the public's way of saying this is what we like.
You hit it right on the nail. And so if that's being the case, if Chris and Physiques, Chris and Terrence, if these guys are brought to the forefront and allowed to reap the rewards of maintaining the integrity of our sport, then that is saying too that the general public wants to see this and they're willing to buy a ticket to see it. So seems like to me, somebody in the world of marketing would see this and say, hey, wait a minute, let's hold up. These numbers don't lie, but there's your wisdom.
Yeah.
Hopefully somebody eventually get it because the numbers speak for themselves.
Fair enough. Let's continue looking at guys here. Another one sort of in the same vein, and then I want to show you a couple that I think are different. And these are the guys that people were arguing. But first, let's take one last look at the shorter, thicker type of guy. This was the previous year's Mr. Olympia champion, 2022 Mr. Olympia Hadi Choopan, who also just won the Arnold Classic and the Arnold Classic UK this year. So let's just make sure your mic isn't muted. Yeah. So, yeah, again, he's about the same as Derek, maybe a little bigger. He's about 5'5" or 5'6", 240 pounds, massive, massive legs. And when you talk about overdeveloped legs, I mean, this might, even I'm starting to think that might be actually a little too much quad. Where do you stand on that?
Exactly what I said in my previous text a few weeks ago. When these guys, when they, when you're at that height, you're carrying thigh mass like that of a power lifter. A lot of them train like power lifters. And when you train like a power lifter, you're going to look like a power lifter. So you have overdeveloped quads and small calves. And then you have overdeveloped other body parts, such as delts, and just a different kind of a look. And as I was saying, a lot of them look the same. Derek, Hadi, with that height, Nick, it's the same type of physiques. Yeah. Whereby my day, the classic day of bodybuilding, it just wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have happened because bodybuilding was saying something different. Yeah. It was saying, okay, we're not all about size. We're all about symmetry. We're about balance. We're about presentation. We're about drawing the general population to come out and see us and to want to be us. Yeah. And that's what changed the world as far as exercise and everything. I recall, in God Rest His Soul, Joe Weider saying, one day everybody will be participating in bodybuilding. They'll be lifting weights one way or the other. And listen, if you lift weights, that is bodybuilding. Yeah. I don't care whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, or whatever, housewife, that is bodybuilding. And see, if the integrity of weight training, and particularly our sport, isn't maintained, and so it's all sort of all over the place now, then more and more the general public will run away from it. And I look at the numbers of what's been happening in a lot of the shows lately. I've seen the numbers continually drop as far as the participation of the general public. I mean, that's a fact. I'm not just pulling stuff out of the air. Now, of course, the Mr. Olympia is something different, right. But at the same time, it's not growing it's not growing in a way that's, when you look at some of the other sports, because we're sort of all over the place.
Well, yeah, we're going to get to talk about the Lee Haney games coming up in the fall soon, but you would know firsthand as the promoter of a big regional event, the numbers, where they stand, bodybuilding competitors versus men's physique and classic physique. What's the ratio? Where do you get the most competitors in your show?
It's classic physique. No doubt about it. Classic physique and physique. Those are the two. Because the guys in the general populations and the ladies, I love what's happening with the ladies. There's several divisions. They can pick and choose. Yeah. But for the guys, you got classic physique and you have physique. And those are, I see attorneys, I see doctors, I see a lot of regular people saying, you know what, I'm going to give that a shot. I already got me some abs going on. I've been training my butt off, so I'm good.
Yeah.
They don't have to resort to doing crazy stuff like taking a bunch of enhancers in order to turn into something that they really don't want to turn into. I mean, the fact of the matter is you can't market, particularly with the general public, a weird type of physique. It's just not marketable.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why, and again, that's why you don't see it in the magazine stands anymore. You see guys who are on the physique division and also in the classic division on the newsstands now.
Yeah. I mean, people don't know because they're not old enough to know, but back in the 90s, you had a workout show on TV every week. Flex Magazine had a workout show with guys like Sean Ray, Boyer Coe. All the top pros appeared on that show. ESPN, everyone knows ESPN. I worked for the company that did a lot of the event specials, covered the Mr. Olympia, the Ms. Olympia, the Nationals, the USA. It was on mainstream television all the time back then because the physiques were a different look, a little more attainable, not as off-putting in the sense of, I hate to throw it out there, but you see these guys and I respect them all. And I've used my share of gear myself, but looking at it, there's a lot of chemicals that went into the making of this. A guy that's 5'6" and 240, 250 pounds, or it's just, people have a hard time believing when I say, yes, it was on TV, and I have to look up the clips on YouTube. I go, look, it really was.
Yeah, exactly. I had a shoe contract from a company.
Wow.
I had my own show on ESPN. Yeah. I had a show on the Trinity Broadcast Network, which is a Christian network. It was a #1 exercise show. Wow. The public loved that they wanted to see that. And I was, my condition was that, okay, this is good. So you don't see that anymore. As a result, we're not able to get the kind of sponsorship, the notoriety, all of those things that revolve around sports. We're not getting it.
Yeah. So I don't want people to think we're just bashing the current crop of pros. No. So that's why I want to turn to a couple guys that I think exemplify a different direction for the sport. They're both taller. These guys are both over 6 foot. They're still plenty big, but I want to hear your take because I think aesthetically they're more in line with the classic old school look of the 70s and 80s, albeit with a little bit more mass. But
and Ron, what I want to say too, listen, guys, and I want you guys looking, we're not bashing. I'm just looking I just wish that we would protect the integrity of our sport and what's beautiful about our sport. You look at Muhammad McCoway. Muhammad waxed my butt all over Europe when I was 23 years old. He was only 5'3", maybe 5'4", 154 pounds. He was incredible at his presentation. Beautiful lines, Lee Labrado, and again, we're not talking about massive big guys. Lee, perfect symmetry, perfect balance, beautiful presentation. Frank Zane, all of these beautiful physiques that made more and more regular people wanted to be a bodybuilder. Yeah. I wanted to get in shape. All of this was beautiful. Bonfato, all of these guys, so that was the magic of our sport. And we've lost a lot of that magic because now they're saying to Lee, okay, you got to be 270 pounds now, or you need to be 250, which the lines that Lee carried, it wouldn't have never matched. It would have never fit. It would have been a mutant.
Yeah, I can imagine Lee Labrada at 250 pounds. Yikes.
Crazy,
So let's take a look at Andrew Jacked, who is one of these newer breed, as we call them, because they're taller and they have mass and they have smaller waist. So again, just make sure your mic is not muted. Click that. And so, yeah, he is 6'2", about 280 pounds.
But see, a physique like that can carry this type of size. 6'2" is tall for bodybuilding. There's 5'11" on is tall for bodybuilding. But look how balanced he look with this type of size on it. See, this makes sense. Now, if he put another 20 or 30 pounds on, then he would start to lose that appeal. But I love Jack. And when I was talking about that 90% of squatty, weird looking guys, believe you me, he was not included in that group. Not whatsoever.
He was a 10%.
I love his physique. I love the way he present, and I love the way he kept tabs on his overall balance and symmetry.
Yeah, another guy. I unfortunately is no longer with us. Cedric McMillan was another taller guy with really beautiful shape and proportions.
Cedric was the Excalibur of physique. When I saw Cedric pose for the first time, he was at a guest appearance. Man, I'm telling you, it brought tears to my eyes. When I saw him hit the stage, I said, "Oh my goodness! Finally, there it is, Excalibur." That's what I saw with Cedric.
Yeah, but I'm glad we have guys like Andrew who are carrying on that tradition. And people do say he needs another 20, 30 pounds if he wants to win.
And again, here we go. What are we saying here now? You need 20, 30 pounds. See, a lot of people are saying that they haven't hit the stage themselves. You know what it takes to get another 20, 30 pounds? You're turning them into a chemical monster. That's not what you want out of bodybuilding. And it has gone too far. I hate what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then when they say crazy, so you need to be drier. You know what that does to a kidney or to a liver, your internal organs? The people who say this type of crap are not on stage. They sitting at the stand, writing their little notes, sitting on their butts. I'm really pissed off about that. And they making these athletes do things that destroy their health. At the end of the day, you want your health because your health is your wealth.
Agreed.
If you're in the graveyard dead or you sick, what does that do for anybody, particularly these athletes? So the criteria need to be reestablished to make sure these athletes are kept safe. They don't have to go through these extreme measures.
Yeah, we did a whole video probably about a year or two ago about that dry. When they say the guys need to be drier, and what does that mean? It means diuretics. It means putting yourself in danger for kidney failure, because the human body is not meant to be completely dehydrated, especially an athlete with all this muscle mass. It's just rolling the dice with your health.
It is, man. And on the criteria, the criteria in being in a show and judging the show should be symmetry, balance, presentation, muscle separation, those type of things. It shouldn't be just dry. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing too much of, which is very dangerous.
Okay, I want to take a look at one last competitor. So just unmute your mic one last time. This is a guy that people feel has the potential to be Mr. Olympia. He's been third place. He was last year's Arnold Classic champion. Again, he's 6 foot, 6'1", somewhere in that. It's hard for me to tell because I'm a little guy, but 300 pounds on stage. We're talking about from the UK, Samson Dauda.
Man, I love Samson. When I saw this cat, man, I said, "Oh my goodness, he reminds me of me." Because I'm smaller, but I really like what I see in Samson. And again, if you're looking for balance, you're looking for symmetry, you're looking for muscle maturity, great presentation, though that should be the hallmark of Mr. Olympia, not just the biggest mass monster, which, as we just talked about. But I like Samson. He's got a beautiful package, and his height would allow him to carry that type of weight. The other athletes who's retired now that he reminds me a lot of is the X-Man.
Tony Freeman.
Tony Freeman. Tony was tall and can carry good mass. Tony had great symmetry, great balance, and again, the criteria of what's being, asked and looked upon, you sort of wonder, okay, what's happening here? Who's got in the ship?
Well, look, tell me this. Look at his condition. That's been the knock on Samson is he's never going to win the Mr. Olympia until he gets a lot drier looking than this. They don't feel his condition is up to par. It doesn't match what we see with Hadi and Derek, but you know, you come from an era where condition wasn't the be all end all. It was just one of several.
Just one of the things. I like his symmetry, his balance, the way he's able to carry muscle and not look weird, you know, and still appealing to the eye. So these are some considerations that I really feel need to be taken a closer look at. Not just dry. I think there's some things, I know there's some things that he can do to become that he can be a bit tighter.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's things that I've done that didn't jeopardize my health, that didn't do crazy stuff, you know, and that's, you know, that's, if you learn the art of carbohydrate depletion and reloading, see, that is the key. Once you know how to manipulate carbs, water, and how to reload, that would take your conditioning to a whole nother level. I think a lot of guys haven't quite gotten that art down yet. And you have a lot of these so-called coaches out here that have no understanding of it whatsoever.
No.
Whatsoever.
I mean,
Bill Heath understood it very well. Ronnie understood it very well. You got even Mike Christian, Lee, all of us doing this old school of bodybuilding, we understood how to make those manipulations to bring about a nice, tight, full look to the physique. And see, these guys are going out here getting these jack-leg coaches who don't know, who haven't been there, done that. So as a result, they are still just trying to figure out and get their way. Now, Honey is incredible. I mean, he got a track record of getting guys in great shape for a show. I love him. He's more of an old school mentality when it comes to conditioning. So he knows how to do it and not allow athletes to be placed in danger.
Yeah. You can answer this or say no comment, but were you able to achieve your condition without diuretics, or did you occasionally indulge in diuretics at any point?
Did not use diuretics. And again, learn how to manipulate the carbohydrate depletion and reloading, and learning how to use things like B6 and let's say dandelion root, these type of natural diuretic forms, herbal forms. You can get the kind of conditioning you need without doing this crazy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, health. Here you are, 64 years old, clean bill of health, so mobile. You know, there's a lot of guys competing now. I don't think a lot of them are going to make 64. It's the saddest thing to say. But another thing to point out, health was always, even when you retired, your supplement company, which you can get to leehaney.com, it's not about pre-workouts get you all cracked out. It's all about health, detox, you know, things to really build up your immune system, clean everything out. It's just shows your full approach. But I want to start talking about the Lee Haney games. Let's take a look at your Instagram page for this, because this is coming up. And if you're anywhere in that part of the country, Georgia, that would be the Southeast, I guess. It's happening November 2nd, 2024.
Right.
And here's the Instagram page, guys, for some info. It's Lee_Haney_games. And this is what year? How many years has this been now?
Man, Ron, this would be the 10th year.
Wow.
Yep, the 10th year, man. And we've had some awesome events, some awesome athletes from all over the United States that come to the games. We make the athletes feel good, and we take real good care of our athletes. I have yet to have someone to complain and say, man, I had a horrible time, because the fact of the matter is I've been there, done that. I know how these athletes feel. You know, we run our show a little bit differently. We don't have, what we've generally done was ran within a certain time slot, the prejudging and the finals at the same time slot. What happens with that is that the athletes don't have to worry about coming back late in the evening. So they can leave and go out and enjoy themselves, feel good, you know, and be able to rejuvenate, that kind of deal. So we set it up in that way. We sort of learned that during the pandemic time. So a time slot may be from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock, may be physique. Then the next time slot will probably start a half hour later. And then we go into maybe classic physique from such and such and such and such. And again, the final, the pre-judging and the final to end at that particular time. Then we also take care of our athletes as far as those winning their overall classes. We take care of their registration to whatever national event they choose, be it the NPC Nationals or the Junior Nationals, the Junior USA, whatever they want to compete in on the national level.
Wow.
So, and listen, man, one of my top sponsor, High Tech Pharmaceuticals, Jason Wheat. Jason has been there with us, for the last 8 years, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate High Tech. As you know, they're top of the line when it comes to quality nutrition. So big hands off to Jason.
Yeah. So, and you have, it's not just the physique competition. You still have a bunch of other activities and sports going on, don't you?
Yes. Well, we've moved to a new venue, which is called the Gas South Arena, and they have a sports commission division there. So we've been in the same place for the last 8-9 years, but we've moved because of that opportunity, whereby we can reintroduce the Fit Kid Challenge, the Teen Challenge, the obstacle races, the arm wrestling, the strongman. All of that will be happening in 2025.
Oh, wow. Yeah. If you guys got to look at that mantle over Lee's fireplace, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It barely fit. It's a good thing you didn't get 9 because you ran out of room.
That was the old one, Ron. That was the old one. No more Mr. Olympia.
Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, there was Freddie there was a great shot. That was a Mike Neville shot, I think, of you from the old
game. Sure was. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also if you're competing, you have free access to, you're still doing that? The free access to Madhouse when they're there?
Oh, yeah, Madhouse Gym. They're one of our big guys there. We love sending athletes there and doing stuff there. But also, Ron, I want to let the athletes know, those who will be competing in the Lee Haney Games this year, that I'll begin training, let's say tips, as far as prepping is concerned, starting this upcoming week. So we're about 5 months out. So I say, okay, guys, it's going to be on my Instagram.
Okay.
The official Lee Haney Instagram. So you guys, you'll get a heads up on what time these will be taking place. We'll be talking about, okay, where are you now? You're five months out. You need to be on this particular training system. You need to start working on getting this body fat down and under control. And so I'll walk them through the process. And there's no cost for this. This is totally free. This is my gift to you guys for supporting the Lee Haney Games all of these years. Even if you don't compete in the games, you still get a chance to get some information that can help you in whatever bodybuilding journey that you choose to follow.
Great. So you can see, guys, that's Lee Haney Official, Lee_Haney_official. I feel bad. I had a prior commitment. I think it was a family thing I had to go to that day. You were in Massachusetts a few months ago doing a seminar.
Yes, me and Linda. We had a great time there. And my other friend, my good friend there, all of us was there. Let me see. Yeah, I see that there. So we had a fantastic time.
John Hansen put that together, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. Big John. And have a great time with John. Matter of fact, John and I is working on some new things coming up in 2025. Matter of fact, we're going to be doing the IFS Lee Haney big fitness event that include a lot of things relating to the general public, teenagers, kids, also bodybuilding, classic bodybuilding. So we're bringing that to pass too. So John is going to be involved with me and helping me put that together. So, and we're bringing teenagers. Yes. Teenagers going to be a part of that event. So we're going to be birthing babies, getting ready for the next level the right way.
Man. Yeah, the picture that's up on screen now, even though it's black and white, I know that background was blue, and I know that's Sweden without even having to be told.
That's right.
Because I had that on videotape, Lee, and I watched that, oh boy, 50, 60 times. I think it was NBC or ABC it was on that year.
Yes, it sure was. And see,
Yeah.
I felt really honored the fact that Ben and Joe was there.
Yeah, usually it's one or the other. It was
Yep.
one or the other.
Ben and Joe was there. And that, you know, for a lot of the young bodybuilders who don't quite know the history of Ben and Joe, they were the architects of bodybuilding, modern day bodybuilding, particularly the IFBB worldwide, in which when I was there was 143 countries, which is now grown to more than, as I understand now, about 180 different countries participating.
Yeah. I mean, most people know Joe Weider and his accomplishments, but we wouldn't have the competitive sport of bodybuilding as we know it without Ben, because up until that point, they had NABBA and the AAU, but I believe in AAU was the big organization. Bob Hoffman ran that, and he wouldn't let people just compete in bodybuilding. They had to do something else first on the same day, like powerlifting, Olympic lifting, or gymnastics, to qualify to be able to compete in the bodybuilding and just show the physique. And Ben's the first guy who came along and said, no. Bodybuilding is an art and a sport all on its own. We don't need to combine it with anything else to make it legitimate. And it's these two brothers, Ben and Joe. God rest in peace to both of them. They're the reason that you and I are able to be talking to each other right now.
That's right. That's right.
I'm getting nostalgic in my old age here, Lee. Oh, that's an old one. That's Baby Olympia.
Yeah.
Josh and Olympia back in the day. Now, how many kids, how many grandkids, how many kids do they have now each?
Oh, man. Well, Josh have 4. I finally got my first grandson, Josiah. And he's 7 months old now. Olympia, she's got a beautiful little girl named Yara, and she's expecting another one in December. So we have a total of 5, and another one is on the way.
Nice. Well done, sir. Well done.
Yeah, man.
And one last look at the 1991 Olympia. Your best. I don't think anyone's going to argue that. That was your best look.
Oh, yeah, man. And see, and again, emphasis, if we're talking about being tight, and nice and lean for a show, that was possible by carb loading and carb depleting.
Yeah. And
knowing how to manipulate water without discontinue the drinking of water. I still had water, but my water was done in such a way it was included in the foods. Let's say, for instance, you'd use it in order to have brown rice. Guess what? You have to mix water with it. So you got your water by way of it being inside of the food. Yeah. You had pastas. You also had cereals, all of these different things. You had apples and bananas that contain their own fluid. And then at the same time, you use things like tea, hot tea with lemon, which is a natural diuretic, but at the same time, it fulfills the need of the body without removing the minerals. It's just pretty simple once you understand the science.
Yeah. I mean, that was 254 pounds with a 31-inch waist?
Yep.
Wow. And you were 31 years old with 8 Mr. Olympia titles?
31.
So we're never going to see that again. I can say that with utmost confidence. We're never going to see that happen in this lifetime.
But Ron, it's a weird thing. As Mother Nature does things from time to time. We didn't think we would see another Arnold. Yeah. And then, which Arnold is Arnold. There's no repeats. Yeah. But every now and then, Mother Nature whoops up this weird person, this different person. For me, when I saw Cedric McMillan, he was a rebirth of that different person. Yeah. Of course, there may not be another Lee Haney because there's only one pretty me.
There's only one Lee. There's only one Lee. There's never going to be another Lee Haney. There's never going to be another Ronnie Coleman. There was only one Ronnie.
That's it. And that's one of the things I also added to my post on some of the responses. Because a lot of guys kept coming back, well, if it wasn't for gear and all of this, you couldn't have did. Wait a minute. You can put $1 million saddle on a donkey. And you can give him 14-karat shoes. You can give him the best of grain, the best of water, the best of whatever. At the end of the day, he's still a donkey.
Yeah. I mean, we spoke about that. You always use the phrase genetic blueprint. because some people were destined and born to be great bodybuilders. Most people aren't. And if you weren't, unfortunately, you could take all the drugs in the world for decades. You're never going to look like a Lee Haney or a Muhammad Makaway or a Bob Paris or Robbie Robinson or Cedric or a Phil Heath. These shining examples. It's like not everyone who picks up a basketball can be Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan. It's just some people are destined for greatness in a very specific field or sport or whatever, and that's it. So yeah, I mean, I wish more people understood that, because you see a lot of guys really harming themselves, and I've lost people. They're no longer with us. People I knew pretty well, good friends, that were just intent on trying to make up for bad genetics with more and more drugs. And it never ended well. It never ended well.
Yeah.
So, man, that's it. I want to thank you so much again, Lee, and everybody. LeeHaneyGames.com. That's the website, right?
That's the website, LeeHaneyGames.com.
And Instagram, if you're on Instagram, Lee Haney Games with a couple underscores, it'll come up. Lee Haney Official. He's going to start some free posing and contest prep tutorials on there, free of charge. Very, very generous of you, sir. From an 8-time Mr. Olympia, no less. Not some Joe Schmo down at your local gym. So that's it, man. Lee, thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate it very, very much. Always an honor, and always feel physically and spiritually better after speaking with you. It's the craziest thing.
Well, thanks, Ron. I enjoyed it, my man, and I appreciate all that you do. If you guys out there, I love you, and believe you me, as I said, when I'm not bashing my sport, I love my sport. Yeah. I stay connected with it. I want to make it better. So I would wish that those who heard what we just shared here, Ron, would do their best to make it better, so that we can continue to grow and prosper and move on to the next level.
Yeah. Well said, sir. All right. On that note, that's it. Thanks, everybody, for watching the Ron Line Report with 8-time Mr. Olympia Lee Haney. We will see you next time.